Hey guys, so today is the 25th anniversary of my dad passing away from lung cancer. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're not, then I'm sure you are aware, because I've all my decodes have been based around this and connecting his death to the events out in the world. And I think I've shown time after time it's way more than conjecture. It's proof, and it's pretty mind blowing. Because how would my dad's death be connected to things like the Olympics, movies, Trump's the ear incident, other celebrities' deaths, like things like that. Like, how could it be possible? But what I'm really trying to show is that that it's God, and I don't doubt that these kind of connections are how they happen with other people. But what's miraculous to me is just that God has allowed me to find it, because all this would have been true regardless of if I found it or not. So I think me actually unraveling it that's a huge part of I guess revealing that this is God, because I'm not I could not do this on my own, and these connections they're not a reach, they're absolutely legit, and you'll see. So I'm gonna kind of backtrack with this verse here, Revelation 8:11. This is what really started everything for me. This verse, because of the channel 7-1, which I could show you right here. 7-1, his channel is that's the pretty much the cornerstone of his channel, Revelation 8:11, about the falling Wormwood star. And he's one of the only channels who really talks about this like consistently, and whose channel is like based on it. Other people will talk about it every now and then, but I think he's the only channel who has made this the number one thing that his content revolves around. And something just really made me gravitate towards his work more than anybody else's when I was just starting, before I was even decoding at all. Even more so than like Zach and channels like that. So I was always wondering what was pulling me towards his work in this verse. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and a third part of the waters became wormwood. Many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And that verse, it equals the whole verse, the ordinal value, where it's the most basic cipher, where A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. When you add up the value of the letters of the whole verse, it's 1377, which this isn't another. This is basically where I got from 7-1. And he's the one who talked about this number a lot. So moving on. I just wanted, so just keep that, just keep this on the back burner for now, and it's gonna all tie in at the end. Now we're gonna look at this alignment that I had with my dad. First of all, he was this many weeks old, 1,707 weeks, the day that I was born. And I recently turned that age on this day here, June 24th. And this was a huge day regarding this show, Lodge 49, which I've been talking about it a lot, and Casey Jones was the one who introduced this to me. I didn't even know about it, and now nothing's been the same since he showed it to me. So just to review why it matters, this show is about a guy named Sean Dudley, like SD, Sean Desad, my initials, SD, my name is Sean Desad. He copes with a lot. The show is about him coping with the loss of his dad, and he ends up joining a lodge. Like, that is the premise of the show. It's not just like something that happens briefly in the show. So as you can see here, Lodge 49 equals 307, and the way that 624, like how this lines up with the day that I turned the same age that my dad was when I was born, that same day. That was the 307th anniversary, or I'll start here, sorry. It was exactly 307 weeks after the first episode of this show premiered. 307 weeks exactly, and you can see the name of the show is 307, and that happened to be the same day, which was the 307th anniversary of Freemasonry, so all that lined up perfectly with this date, and it was just perfect that was the day that I turned the same age my dad was when I was born. But there's so much more about that, and I made videos on it, and if you look at the Beyond Synchronicity playlist, you will probably be able to find it. But I think that's enough that I can share it for now, which just establishes that pretty undeniable connection. And this is going to be the first time we looked at this. So this was my dad's age when he died. He was 2,118 weeks old. And the day that I turned that age will be May 9th, 2032. Okay, so just keep that in mind for now. And this is, so now we're going from my birth to my dad's death. You're going to look at my age when my dad died, which I made a video about this like a few videos back when I was in my car, just to explain. I was this many hours, this is how many hours from my birth to my dad's death. 69,024 hours. And my name, Sean Desad, equals 69 and 24. So that is just this in itself is miraculous. So everything around it just makes it even, like, there's no words to describe it. But yeah, so one more time, from my birth going forward, 69,024 hours lands on the day that my dad died, and my name is 69 and 24. So now we're gonna go 6,924 days after my birth. So remember the 6924, just keep it in mind that it represents my name and the amount of hours from my birth to my dad's death. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, when you go from this day, we're going to use this as a starting point. From my 6,924th day to the first episode of Lodge 49, the show about, I just showed a guy named Sean loses his dad, all that. From my 6,924th day to the first episode of Lodge 49 is the exact same amount of time. It is the exact same amount of time as from my birth to my dad's death. So that show could have premiered any other time. That show could have debuted any other time. So when you go from this, my 6924th day, which remember, this represents both my name and the amount of hours from my birth to my dad's death, which is this many hours here, the exact same amount of hours from that day to the first episode of Lodge 49. This is why this is why, like, I know people probably don't like how I've been reacting to some of my findings, but you know, like, even right now I really want to, like, I want to cry. I want to be like, dude, I want to be like, come on guys, like, how can you guys not understand this? But like, I'm trying to be really calm because it's I don't think it's really been helpful for me to do that. That's just been me being vulnerable, and just, but I think God has given me a lot of strength today to get through this, and just to accept that this is Him, and for me to just accept how amazing His how amazing He is in His work, and how He's made this all line up for me to find, and I'm just so thankful that He's allowed me to find this. So, alright, just to make this even more unbelievable right here. So going from that same starting point, my 69,024th day, to that day where I turned 1,707 weeks, which again, that was the age that my dad was when I was born. Same age, exactly. And then all the other things lined up with that show on this day. So again, from my 69,024th day to my 1,707th week, is just focus on the bottom part here. It is 1,377% of a common year. 1,377% of a common year. Just like the verse that started it all for me. The ordinal value of that verse is what started this whole journey for me. 1377, and from the day that, I know I'm repeating myself, but this day that or what I wanted to mention is that this is the same for everybody. So when you go from your 69,024th day to your 1,707th week, this is what it is. But what makes it so unique for me is that this represents my name and the amount of hours from my birth to my dad's death. And this represents, so that's only unique to me. And then this, the 1707 wouldn't be special to anybody else. Well, not for the same reason that it is for me. But yeah, I mean, this is only unique really to me because this is this is when I became the same age that my dad was when I was born. And it happens to be 1377%. You will round up, so don't be in denial about that. I know people will try to argue that, but no, that's insane if you think that I'm wrong about this. Okay, this is 1377% of a common year. Now, so now when you go from the first episode of Lodge 49 to the day when I become the age that my dad was when he died, 2,118 weeks, it is the same span. It's the same span. as that, like, from the first episode of Lodge 49, which is about a guy named Sean Dudley, like my initials, SD, Sean Desad, who is coping with losing his dad, and just all the other things I've mentioned, like he's in a pool, like baptism, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Like I've decoded all this before, and there's just so much more. But yeah, so from the first episode of that show, to when I become the age that my dad was when he died, 1377% again. So both, like, so again, like what I'm trying to show is that show was made at the perfect time, so that, I mean, that the first episode of that show lined up perfectly with this day, which is when I became the age that my dad was when I was born, and then it's connected to the age that I'll be when he died. So I don't know if, like, that's freaking amazing, dude. That is so freaking amazing. Okay, so I don't want to make this too long, so I think the last thing I want to say is, so from my dad's birth to my mom's birth, they were born 3,324 days apart. And the 3,324th prime number is 30,839, and Revelation 8:11, which this was the cornerstone, the key, the capstone, whatever, like, of this whole video, the foundation of it, I guess, like the starting point for my journey to learn about all the stuff that I know. Revelation 8:11 is the 30,839th verse of the whole Bible. So that is unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, so, and also keep in mind, I think I wanted to say it in the beginning, I forgot, but when I first started learning about this verse, I wasn't even decoding yet. I was barely trying to learn or understand what these guys were all talking about. And then I at the time, I didn't even know that, like, when 7-1 was talking about this verse, I actually didn't even know that nobody else really talked about it. I was coming at everything just with, like, as a newbie, I guess, and I didn't know that this was so niche, but something was just really put on my heart, and then, like, to just make this like the main focus for my, like, studies. And then I started decoding, doing my own decodes, 7-1. I know he noticed that. And my first, when I just started putting out decodes, my first decoding videos were using this as the foundation for that. And this helped my decoding to really grow, and for me to just get really advanced really fast. Now I talk about a lot of other things besides just this one verse, but this, I think this is, it all ties back to this in the end. And just to show again why this is so important, why it's like this, why this number is so significant, why it's not just like an arbitrary number, when the age that my dad was when I was born, and how it ties into this show and all that. I made this before, so just letting you guys know that the decode is over. So if you want to turn your brains off now, like, you can. But this is review, and I've showed this before, but I'm just gonna go through it again just to end this video. Again, showing why this 1707 is so important. So yeah, my dad was 1707 weeks when I was born, and I turned 1707 weeks on the 307th anniversary of Freemasonry, which happened to be the same day that was exactly 307 weeks after Lodge 49's first episode. And then yeah, we talked about that. And so Venus, the 49 made me think of the magic square of Venus, because that's a 7x7 grid, and it's all the numbers between 1 and 49. Also, I'm a Libra, and Libra is ruled by Venus, but then I noticed that when you go from 7/7/49, the date 7/7/49, to my birth, it's exactly 507 months. But I'll show you why that is important. Let's just go here real quick. Okay, so that's why this is important. So Venus to Earth, the Venus to Earth ratio, which 13 orbits to 13 years to 8 years, Venus to Earth ratio. So 13.8, like 138, and the prime factorization of 138 is 2 times 3 times 23. And I didn't make the slides for it, but I'll explain it right now. So 2 3 23. So that date, February 3rd, 2023, that was the day of the Ohio train derailment, and they were calling that the Chernobyl of the Midwest. And here in Revelation 8:11, when it talks about the stars, Wormwood, Chernobyl is the Ukrainian word for wormwood. And that's something I learned from 7-1 as well. So on this day that the Ohio train derailment happened, I reached 1,377 followers on Instagram. Like how the ordinal value of Revelation 8:11 is 1,377. So perfect how that ties into all this. And from 2/3/23, the Ohio train derailment, and again this connects to the Venus to Earth ratio, to the day that I turned that week, many weeks, that was 507 days. And the 507, I'm going to show how that the 507 is the bridge between these two numbers. I'll show that right now. So 5:07 a.m. is 307 minutes into the day, and I noticed that that 507, like this 507, is insane, because of the prime factors of 507 are 3 times 13 times 13. Like the date 3/13/13, that was when Pope Francis became the Pope on 3/13/13, and Pope means father. And he became the Pope 6 years, 66 days before 1707, like that. And then so 5:07 a.m. we showed as 307 minutes into the day, but 5:07 p.m. is 17 hours and 7 minutes into the day. So a.m. and p.m. So that's why the 5:07 is the bridge between the two. And I'll skip those last two. Yeah, that's the most important part, because this will take me down just another huge rabbit hole, and I don't really have time for that, but it's pretty amazing as well. You know what? I'll just show it for my dad. So from 1707, the date 1707, but this is the year 1907, so not 2007. So 1707. It's still 1707. Going from that date to my birth, that's 30,955 days, and the 30,955th verse of the Bible is Revelation 15:8. And I skipped this. Okay, so so keep that in mind. And then when you go from 1707, but of the year 2007, but still 1707, to the day that I turned 1707 weeks, it was 911 weeks and 1 day, just like 9/11/01. That's the exact date of the attacks, and it's a perfect match. So I made this connection between 9/11, the attacks, and then this verse here, and how it applies to my dad, how he died from smoking cigarettes. So yeah, this is Revelation 15:8. The temple was filled with smoke. Remember, your body's a temple, like the Bible says, from the glory of God and from his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. 7, like I was 7 years old when my dad died, first of all, but also like 7x7 grid for the magic square Venus, and equals 49, like Lodge 49. But just the depiction of this here, it's I think it's perfect. It's a perfect, like, I know I'm spot on with this right here. You know, this is totally the 2 towers of smoke coming out. 2 towers of smoke. And then when you find the reduction value of that verse, the whole entire verse, it's 676. And my mom was exactly 676 months on the day when I became the same age that my dad was when I was born. So that's how I knew we were all in on this. Yeah. Yeah, the past few days have been hard because, like, you know, my family doesn't agree with, not only do they not agree with this, like, work, but with the fact that I do it at all. And it's finally been we've been kind of keeping it under the rug for a while, but it finally started coming out, and yeah, it's just been making things like just hard, you know, because I understand that this stuff is it's scary. And even for me, I've had to overcome a lot of, like, this journey has been like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I yeah, it's been definitely challenged, just, you know, with it all coming out. And that's all. I just wanted to make this for, you know, my dad's death anniversary. Yeah, I just thought it would be good to end on this verse here, with all that in mind. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So this is saying that the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. I don't think a lot of people realize that the Bible says that, but it does. And I remember reading that, and I was like, what? Like that's just, I mean, obviously I've never questioned the Bible, but when I've gone through this whole journey of finding the stuff with my dad's death and how it's connected to all this, like, it's not like, oh, I'm so glad that it happened, but like finding all this has been, it's so beautiful to me. It's like, it's so beautiful. And I know that you could only appreciate the beauty if you get this stuff, if you understand it. And I think that's what makes it beautiful for me too, is that I know this is not easy to understand, but I understand it vividly, like clearly, so clearly, like more than I understand anything. And I'm like, I just appreciate so much like what God has done to allow me to understand this and to find it, to find all this. Just death isn't easy, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like, like it's so sad for people to lose their loved ones. Like my heart goes out to Joseph so much with the recent loss of his father, and I know there's like a time and place for everything. Maybe in time, like when he looks, I don't know, like I think what I'm trying to say. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, just for others, maybe like if enough time has passed for you and like you start to go back and like find stuff similar to that, then maybe it's like, oh, like it makes sense why it happened. And there's definitely hope for the future down the line, and I don't know. there's so many things that like make sense to me in my head, and I just can't put them into words. But thank you for watching. Bye.